We all know Tom Cruise is a badass. From confident leather jacket wearing in Top Gun to his spectacular stunts in Mission Impossible movies, this guy comes off as the most likable, charismatic, and just cool person in any situation on screen. In real life, do your own research. Today, we're talking about his character Vincent in the movie Collateral. This character blew me away when I saw the film for the first time last week. Tom portrays an eccentric hitman with a worldview like no other. I was in shock that I hadn't heard of this silver fox. Or maybe that's hair dye, I don't know. Either way, I was immediately drawn to how complex his psyche is. This guy had me on the edge of my seat, and somehow, with the most messed up philosophy ever, pretty much won me over. Let's explore what takes a heartthrob hitman from a common criminal to a cold-blooded modern philosopher. Vincent's mindset takes a second to become clear. While he's scoping out this law building and Jamie Foxx is flirting with Jada Pinkett Smith, let me set up who Vincent is. Vincent is no more than a hitman, hired by a mob boss to off witnesses and a prosecutor in an upcoming case. You can assume he's very expensive because he doesn't even meet his clients face to face. Plus, his skill set is second to none. He's already a smooth operator, picking up this case from a random... Wait a minute. Is that Jason Statham? Whoa, I didn't know he was in this. Can't wait to see him more. Early on in this one, I was expecting Tom to play more of a hardcore, unspoken character. Kind of Jason Statham-esque, honestly. And up until Vincent gets into a cab, he is. He looks like a guy that I would idolize in middle school. I mean, look at those shades. In the early 2000s, you couldn't pull off a cooler look than this. I figured that's all you would need for a Tom Cruise villain. Boy, was I wrong. Soon, Vincent replaces Jada in Jamie Foxx's car, and let me rephrase. Soon, Vincent gets into Max's car. Max is a very interesting fellow who's kind of a bit of a... He's just a cab driver, Gio. This video isn't about him. Yeah, I could probably make a whole video on this guy too. Yeah, we can see that. Vincent talks to Max in a way that also hit the shallow, badass hitman trope. He talks like a rich CEO, oozing with confidence, and although he's very nice, he's completely dominating the conversation. The talk flows on, and Vincent launches into a story he read. Most of his actions seemed very rehearsed up until this point. He's done this take over a cab thing before. The plan is essentially to put the taxi driver in the position to take the fall for all of the crime being committed. He would threaten and manipulate drivers for all the stops he needed, then make his escape, leaving the cabbie in a rough spot. The plan has worked for him before, so he sets off manipulating Max from minute one, setting him up to talk bad about his job and eventually take a one-time payment that could get him fired. Before Vincent offers this payment, the story he launched into says a lot about him. He talks about a man on an LA train that died. It took LA residents 6 days to notice him. That's 10. 6 days to notice him. Vincent's whole point was that nobody notices or cares about the things outside of them. He uses this as something Max can relate to. Seeing the things he does as a cabbie, I'm sure he views this as a believable occurrence. Beyond all that, Vincent subconsciously uses this story to rationalize what he's doing. Here, we get a peek into his philosophy. As a hitman, you can't go around believing the people you kill make an impact on the world. It'd be much easier to just run away from the negative circumstances around that and believe it's insignificant. This seems like a good time to segue into Vincent's first victim. Vincent kills our first witness semi-off-screen as we only see the end of the fall. He runs down to Max, at first playing a bit dumb, until he glances around, realizes nobody is there, and reveals himself as the villain. Here we fucking go. Immediately, as Max accuses Vincent of being a killer, Vincent responds plainly with, "The fall killed him." The first time watching this, you might just think it's a weird manipulation tactic, but as you explore this man, it becomes clear he isn't lying here. He really believes that this murder is not his fault. In this shot, although you might pass it off, it's illustrated, Vincent sees life and death as a natural progression. His part in those lives and deaths are just part of the natural progression. It's just the way the cookie crumbled. Driving away from the first hit, we learn that this wasn't the plan. Vincent says something about how Max was supposed to be none the wiser about this. The weird thing is, Vincent doesn't seem concerned. He fires off a few words that some might write off as an eccentric dude saying some eccentric shit. Incorrect. These 3 words sum up Vincent's entire way of thinking and acting in the film. You wouldn't know that on the first watch, though. And since his philosophy grows more and more clear as the movie continues, let's wait before we give it away. Vincent is recognizing more and more that the I didn't kill him angle isn't working on a stressed out Max. You can tell Vincent doesn't empathize with Max having to be a driver with a dead body in the trunk. He instead goes for the nihilistic approach. Vincent grills Max on the fact that he didn't care as much about nuclear bombs going off or massacres compared to the dead body in the trunk. Vincent is using Max's very human quality, caring about dying, against him. Comparing a body in the back to global tragedies dismisses the significance and exploits Max's empathy. Vincent's nihilistic detachment continues to fuel his work as we move forward. Driving on, Max gets radioed by his dispatch chief. The boss talks some shit to Max, and since Vincent needs the cab, he helps Max lie out of it. The weird thing is, he goes even further. Vincent makes Max tell his boss to shove a big yellow cab up his ass. This caught my attention. Not the insult itself, but Vincent's motivation here. Up until now, Vincent hasn't shown true empathy for Max. Each time he attempts to relate to Max, it's because it plays towards his benefit. Not here, though? This seems to be going the extra mile. So why would a heartless man make this move? Well, to be frank, he isn't making this kind move. I believe this character can be falsely interpreted as an empathetic killer. There's a few moments like this one where he appears to care about people on a deeper level. The problem is, he's not consistent, and he's not doing it for that reason. To go investing in someone's life while ruining it in real time doesn't make any sense. This is why I think all of his empathy is an act to feed his love of manipulation. Just like his sarcasm a second ago.
You promise not to tell anybody, right?
Yeah.
Promise. Get in the fucking car.
He's simply manipulating Max to become more like himself. I think whether he admits it to himself or not, Vincent has to be in control. His moments of passion aren't based in empathy for the people around him. They're based on the things he cares about, like his job and jazz.
Like jazz?
After that obvious B-movie reference, we go to a jazz club to take the next victim. The thing about this club that stands out is Vincent's enjoyment of the music. He's mesmerized watching the men on stage, and you can tell the appreciation is genuine. He loves this music that flows with no direction, like himself. The performers acting purely on opportunity and intuition, changing with the rhythm in whatever way feels right. Vincent fully sees his worldview in this jam. You even think that's why he invites over one of the musicians. Vincent is super drawn into this guy's Miles Davis story, whether it's true or not. The passion, again, feels genuine. You think he's really enjoying this man across the table. Really, he's just enjoying a story related to music he likes. He eventually gets bored with the act and reveals he's here to kill the musician. Just before he does so, his love for manipulation shines through. Vincent tells the musician if he can answer a Miles Davis question correctly, he can walk away. The musician kind of gets it right. Okay, it's a bit of a trick question. Musician gets it slightly wrong and gets offed. I still think if the musician got it right, Vincent would have done the same thing. He's not looking for a sign from the universe to abandon his hitman duties. He was just falling into his manipulative state. Here, heavy emotional compartmentalization is present. It's not just full-blown manipulation. This is another reason why he could be falsely read as an empath. For me, he's grounding himself by truly investing in the sweet moments of life, quickly able to go back to the job when necessary. We'll see even more of this at the hospital. After the jazz club, Vincent makes Max visit his sick mother, an act I don't think he really needed to do. He goes with Max all the way till he's standing next to Max's mom's bed, about to give her flowers. At this point, we think Vincent is just doing this for the control factor, or empathy, if you really believe that. A conversation later reveals his broken home life growing up in foster care. The interest here is an instance of compartmentalizing emotions to enjoy the loving presence of a mother. Yet another time enjoying sweet moments. Wait a minute. I feel I can't let you enjoy this sweet moment without bringing up something I forgot to mention. The sheer brutality from Vincent. It's way more than threats and contracted hits. It's killing petty thefts, then later good cops and security guards. Oh, not to mention consistently saying to Max he's gonna kill regular people. Anyways, back to this nice moment with Max's mom. Although, while watching Vincent in this moment, we don't know about his parents, we can feel, just like in the jazz club, a genuine appreciation for the moment. Scary how he can shift from warmth to menace so frequently, casually threatening this mother's life to Max shortly. A little while after this moment with another mother, we get my favorite moment in the film. Vincent is pulled in when he sees something that shouldn't be able to thrive in a city thriving. He closely relates to the hardships those coyotes have gone through to survive. This is just like himself. That was my initial interpretation, at least. Others include things about coyotes foreshadowing the ending, or a truly vulnerable moment of care for living beings. Those don't work for me. Even more so because of Vincent's philosophy, which I am just about to reveal. The rest of the movie gives more focus to Max, who is the main character. The focus shifting to Max becomes super intentional at a point, because right when Max starts to criticize Vincent's worldview, Vincent gets pissed off and attacks Max right back. Well, I shouldn't say attacked, he is a hitman. He verbally assaulted Max, completely flipping the situation on him. This little moment said a ton to me. This is the first time we've seen Vincent criticized, and his insecurities come out. This is a guy obviously afraid to look in the mirror. Metaphorically. He probably looks in the mirror a lot. Right now, it's obvious Vincent cannot take his character being insulted. This moves quickly into another conversation about his worldview, saying how small we all are. You know, the whole we're just a speck on a rock moving through space thing. This weirdly contrasts with his defensiveness. It's a pretty in-your-face way to explain this guy's habits, and I don't think it sums it up fully. Besides accentuating his ability to not care. Until he's out of control. Max starts speeding faster and faster. At the same time, he's talking more and more cryptically, almost mocking Vincent's philosophy. If we're so small, what does it matter if I push 120? Vincent panics in this loss of control, and it eventually leads to an intentional crash. A crash that Vincent, who didn't have a seatbelt on, ran away from. Did I mention this dude's a badass? Basically, now the movie flips from a dialogue masterclass to a full-blown action film. I'll let you watch this very satisfying sight of Tom Cruise running for a little, while we finally explain why every seemingly multi-layered decision that Vincent makes fits perfectly into his philosophy. A philosophy of just 3 terms that makes a cold-blooded killer. We go back to the 30-minute mark to hear again what the 3 words he said to Max were.
Improvise, adapt to the environment, Darwin, shit happens, I Ching, whatever, man, we gotta roll with it.
First one there is shit happens. This is the least important, but explains why he quickly assesses the situation and says, okay, we're here now. The cab guy knowing, the cops, the hospital visit, the crash. Shit is happening constantly throughout the whole movie. His response to each situation when things go wrong is to nod his head and prevail. This leads into the second idea, Darwin. This word is referring to Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Darwin popularized the idea of natural selection, which fits perfectly into how Vincent looks at the world. He sees it as a challenge where the best and baddest rise to the top. Without a merciless view on humans, it's impossible to win. To compete in a harsh world is to be harsher. Or so he thinks. We see this all the time, down to the way Vincent carries himself. Plus things like meticulous planning, his constant manipulation of Max and the musician, and even his lack of concern for death. It's all to be better than the people around him. Stronger, faster, smarter, less fear, whatever it takes. So there. If you accept that shit happens and you know you need to be the best to thrive, offing people is right up your alley. The less you care about the shit that happens, the better a specimen you are for this role, elevating you to the top. This all goes right into the third term, which is I Ching. I Ching is referring to a book that I have not read, and Vincent has definitely not read all of. He cherry picks one big aspect from the book to fit like a glove with his other ideas, fully creating the sociopath he is. The aspect he takes has to be accepting change without question. He applies this to a shit happens mentality, illustrating more so why he's such a badass. To constantly accept the next situation along the way, no matter how bad, is something he's held on to his whole life. A bad situation probably led him to accepting his role as a hitman. Not stopping there, he embraces the change and keeps moving forward no matter what. His job title as hitman fitting perfectly because that's the best way to be atop the food chain. Vincent really just uses I Ching as a puzzle piece for the other two to never stop moving. It's amazing that at the end of this whole chase, he does exactly that. Max somehow wins a shootout with this guy, saving Jada Pinkett Smith. Yeah, she was the attorney on the list. It was a whole thing. The film ends with Vincent sitting down on a train with a bullet in his side, facing his final outcome. With his last breaths, he shows a side of himself we already know. His words are the ultimate plea at believing in his way of life. He calls for nobody to remember him, trapped by his worldview that nothing matters, not even himself. How you interpret this last line all depends on the wolves. If you ignore what I said and believe he showed a human side that we haven't seen, maybe his last statement was a coded realization that he does want more than his narrow, ruthless way of life. For me though, just like the wolves, this fits in perfectly with how he sees the world. In a universe of insignificance, Vincent's own philosophy reinforces the need for power, but not the need for life. From his acceptance of the final pretty bad outcome, to being shot knowing he's not strong enough to survive, all the way to seeing that the only future change for him is death. He cycles through his three-idea philosophy, sticking to the act, all the way till his end. Just like the dead man on the subway story, he expects to be forgotten. The only sadness in his eyes being that he can no longer enjoy those sweet, sweet moments like jazz. And with that, thank you, Eric. Specifically you, Eric. And of course, to everyone else who watched this one, thank you. I was having so much fun breaking this one apart and just figuring out what type of character Vincent is. I'm honestly a little bit down right now, I feel like, after reading through the script, just because his worldview is so dark and dull, and the way that I interpreted all of it, he's got nothing really to hold on to that's positive. I think a lot of what we can learn from this is just to try and take a less harsh stance on the world, and maybe instead actually read I Ching. I also quickly want to thank my friend Roy, who recommended me this movie. I was looking for a Tom Cruise movie at the time, and he gave me this, and I will watch this a lot more in my life. So Roy, I appreciate you, man. But yeah, I think that's about it. So deuces.